Hello and welcome in, gatekeepers. I got to tell you, if I don't watch those for a while, I'm always surprised at what comes next, and I'm just as caught up. I'm on the edge of my seat, and like just there's so much going on when all the skeletons start dancing together and everything. It's amazing. And yes, those cartoons got me too back in the day. Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody. I hope you have your tea. I hope Ted. What's going on with the moths? I need a moth report, please, and a waggy tail report. I'll wait on that. There's always a delay here, guys. If you are new, welcome, welcome. These are my gatekeepers. They are also your gatekeepers, and we are our own gatekeepers. That's a lot of responsibility. But you've come to the right place on a Sunday night or Monday morning for some, I would believe. Thank you so much, Lindsay. I love making them. That one, Dance Macabre, if you so desire, by Kevin MacLeod or McLeod, however he pronounces it. I'll never get it right. But what a absolute masterpiece I think that was of his. He did that. He does a song that is on YouTube Audio Library. And then I go in, and of course, you guys know I get gifts, and little pieces and snippets here and there and pictures and do stuff with them and put it all together. That one took, I want to say, being honest, there's probably just under 10 hours into that one from start to finish. Sit down, pick a song, and then go find stuff that matches in the timing of it. So, but fun, and every time I see it, I'm surprised too. So, welcoming gatekeepers. If you're new here, Sunday nights, if we don't have a guest, and there's so much going on right now in my atmosphere that I didn't put a guest in tonight because sometimes I just like to sit here and we like to watch little clips of maybe a ghost story or UFO or hey, how you doing, Sarah? And just chat and put our input into it in the live chat. And we have the best live chat I think out there because we're all at this point, I think, where we're still trying to sort things, but we're just still amazed at the different layers of stuff. So welcome in. Please be so kind as to give it a thumbs up. Um, you know, even if it's it's just like, how about, that's all it takes. And it helps so much with the YouTubes. The inner tubes love thumbs up. Isn't that right, Ted? How about you, Sarah? Hello, love. How you doing, Sapphire? D-Rock, how you doing, honey? Straw Dog, welcome, welcome, welcome. Kathleen, I see you too, hon. I saw Lindsay. I saw AJK. He is doing, listen, Radio Vault, drop your link, or please, mods, drop the link to his channel. He is doing some great stuff over there. A lot of good shorts, real quick, to the point. Um, Lizzie Borden and missing people and unsolved mysteries and little shorts like that, and some great videos. So go over there and subscribe to his channel. Let's give a boost to everybody's creativity out there, right? Absolutely, Lindsay. It's so good. And it's so good to see you guys. I got my tea. I'm feeling chill. I invite you to chill with us, and we're going to look at some ghostly bits tonight. Yes, I couldn't agree more. How are you, love? Can you give me an update? I hate to even ask. Um, how is your atmosphere, since we're talking about atmospheres? Lindsay, how's things? How's our lovely, lovely, warm, fantastic brethren across the border over in Canada? How are you with these crazy wildfires? How is everybody tonight? And please, thank you so much for dropping that link. Oh, Ted, thank you. Absolutely. The Radio Vault. Get in there and subscribe. And you guys, if you have a link, if you have a channel, if you have a book, if you have it has something to do with paranormal, supernatural, metaphysical, true crime, it's a broad spectrum of interest that conspiracy, all of that, and just plain WTF, put it up there. If you're an artist, if you're a graphic artist, if you're an author, if you do substacks on conspiracies or something like that, do that, because what we're doing is we're a network, right? I don't care if it's a ghost story from way back in the day, like if it's a Hans Holzler or you know Peter Underwood or whatever, or just an old folk tale told around the fire that got carried along and maybe got changed a little here and there. We all know that game Telephone, right? But put your link up there. We support creativity here. Our artists are wonderful. The imagination and the talent and trades, carpenters, and we have people who do the most. Susan Woodcarver does the most beautiful carvings. The wood kind of speaks to her. There's a spirit in it, and before you know it, it's this beautiful, detailed. There's almost a connection of soul to it. You know what I mean? Oh, you don't have to get up in the morning, Straw. Well, I hope you'll stay with us for some. Do you like ghost stories, Straw? I guess you do. You're here. We got ghostly bits tonight. I'll tell you what, I wrestled all day. So anyway, that's that. So if you have a link and you can't get the link up because you're not if you don't have a wrench, you probably can't get a link up. YouTube won't let it up there. But get one of the mods' attention. There's wonderful Black Ops mod here. They know how to handle stuff. They know how to bake you some cupcakes if you get out of hand, and nobody wants one of those. Trust me. But tell them you've got a YouTube channel, or you do gardening, or you teach people how to make lard candles, right, Ted? Right? Well, holy crap! What? We had 2 tornadoes in your area last Thursday. Oh, Glenn, no. Oh, honey, I know Alabama. I know. I'm totally tracking you. I totally understand. There's just no words for it till you've seen it. I saw playing cards, right? I saw playing cards and telephone poles stuck halfway through, not even bent. I saw straws in telephone poles or trees. Uh, lady was in traffic at a red light, and the next thing she knows, it's hours later, and she's hanging upside down, hung only by her seatbelt in her SUV, and she's in a tree upside down, the whole SUV and everything. The stuff that they were finding. Oh God, I was going to work. Let me shut this down. Pardon me a minute. This computer over here, this one over here is giving me a hard time, so I'm just going to shut it off. So much blue light. So anyway, if that's too dark, let me know. Yeah, so I'm driving to work, right? After another tornado. So many in Alabama, Tennessee, and our friends in Kentucky, all over. Anyway, if you've seen one come close to you in your town or wherever you are, you never forget it. It's like a freight train. And I'm on my way to work, and I hate even saying it out loud, but there was cows that they had not got to clean up and attend to everything, because you kind of triage it in a situation like that. And cows still had 2x4s. There was a cow eating grass at a 2x4 right through them from the fence, from the split rail fence. The stuff you see, the devastation where it just wipes out. I've seen it just jump down and take 2-3 houses and skip and jump and take a couple more, and just, I'm sorry if you ever have to go through that, but do what they say, and get a radar and have it right at the ready, because you got to watch out for yourself too. Not every time was there a siren, or you can't count on that. You have to. I think that's the theme for being in the world today. You got a situational awareness. You got to make sure you got yourself straight, and take care of number one. You can't care of anybody if you don't take care of yourself first, right? At least a little bit. Eat the big cookie and all that. Temps just barely broke 60 degrees. Are you saying New Hampshire? Are you in New Hampshire, Straw Dog? I don't know, guys. But anyway, so if you got a channel or a website, or something that has to do with artistic, please ask the mods. Tell them what it is. They'll go grab the link and they'll drop it for you. They have carte blanche on helping small business, anything that's artistic and creative, because doing those things keeps you in the light. And also, I don't know. Yes, New Hampshire. Okay. Sometimes I have to fill in there a little bit because there's a delay. I don't know how long it is. I've heard different stories, but thank you, Shona. So anyway, really? And Glenn, I'm sorry you went through that. Was there a lot of damage at with the tornadoes that were so close to you? I feel for everybody. Lindsay, did you tell me you were okay? Are things better out by you? I keep missing the chat. It's jumping so fast. That's why I'm squinting and jumping around, because I'm trying to pay attention. No tornadoes here, says Jack. How are you, Jack? Microburst. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yep. And Straw says he doesn't have to get up in the morning. Okay. New Hampshire, I've got a niece out there. Lovely family. Her daughter just became, that's my great niece, just became a doctor. First, do no harm, you know? All right. So, anyway, that's that. I think that's all for housekeeping. Mods, of course, are wonderful at welcoming everybody and, new and letting them know kind of what's going on here. Tomorrow night, we will have again Steve. Um, Lynn, I think she is still a bit under the weather, so I'm not sure if she's going to be here at the end of the month. And right now, I got a lot going on. I don't want to schedule a lot of people too far out because, time is, it does it feel like time is speeding up a little bit. Hey, Laura, welcome, welcome. Okay, the smoke is clearing. Oh God, I hope it's done by now. I mean, I cannot even imagine. My heart breaks for the animals. If you're an empath, I'm telling you, you walk around like you have a weight. It's hard to breathe sometimes, and it's not the smoke; it's the energy of all the fear of the animals and the people and everything. Just try to focus and reground yourself and everything else. Sometimes just being here for a little short while and talking to each other and looking at some stuff. I was thinking the other day, I'm going to ramble through this and we'll feel our way through, and then I've got a cool video for you. So, but anyhow, I'm going to look at the chat for a second so I can finish telling you this. I was thinking about it and I said, it's so cool. I'm setting up this show for you, whether I'm making intro videos or fun videos or um, serious information videos. I think it's so cool that we can sit together and watch something like this. And it really is kind of like a classroom, like a meeting, like a book club or something like that. Because even though if you've heard the story, or if you happen to see it when it was broadcast or whatever, insert whatever TV or documentary you want to into the story. That's not the point. The point is enjoying the story, listening to the story, paying attention, really on the edge of your seat at some moments. Is it not so cool that we could still feel that way about stuff? Am I alone here? I doubt it, because so many of you are participating and so interested in, all this whole broad, family of subjects, whether, like I said, true crime to ghost stories to dark to light and the whole everything in between. It's just wonderful to be able to get together with a group. It's like having a party, we get together at your house, but everybody's got their own snacks, they got their own comfy chair, or they're driving their rig and they're listening along or whatever it may be, where you can be you, but you're still in a room full of friends that are all interested in paying attention to what you're paying attention to, and still getting excited about it or going, as if nothing could surprise you after decades of listening to these stories and seeing these things and reading the books and watching the movies and digging into the subject, right? Right, Kathleen. Yep, yep. What's going on, Sapphire? Your teeth or what in the beer? All right, sort that. Can somebody help Sapphire sort that? I'm not sure. The way the chat moves is hard sometimes to catch stuff. All right, so and Laura, thank you again. I'm sitting here looking. If you guys hadn't seen, I got one of those great big hooks, and I've got it hanging here. So if this thing ever starts swinging, like while we're giving the show, and nobody's touching it, it's like a big old pendulum. Can you imagine the energy in this? But this was a gift from the lovely Laura. She's in the chat, and it has my wonderful buddy Mr. Dickens's paw and his name on a little heart, and it's hanging on this big old hook. And when I hung it up here, my first thought was, man, that's so pretty. And you guys can't see it. Let me see if I can turn it, catch a piece of it. If I shut us down, yeah, you're never going to see that. It's too far. But anyway, it's on a big old cast iron hook, and if it's still, like I said, if it starts swinging, but it's absolutely gorgeous. And I thought, oh gosh, maybe I shouldn't do that. So anyhow, I just think it's really cool to sit down and watch these again. I could see it 10 times and I'll pull out different stuff. Now, there was a couple I wanted to share with you. And just to open this up, I'll tell it as best I can because I couldn't get that one for you. I had a lot of technical stuff and sets things up, and they wouldn't let me because of a song or something else, and I got to respect that and go, okay, but I could tell it. So here's this nice gentleman, and this all happened in Canada because this is from the wonderful show Ghostly Encounters. You guys are familiar with it if you watch the show, my show, and you've seen the show, and in some places it's still playing. So anyway, wonderful format, lovely the way they did it. This is my own opinion. You guys probably, if you like it, you might have other opinion on it or whatever. But I love the way they don't add to it. When the guy or person is describing it, they show it as it's described. It's not, I had a bad feeling behind my shoulder, and then what you're seeing, the video that they're creating is like a big old blue demon behind them, just and breathing. You've all seen, what I'm talking about. We've all seen it. The guy didn't say that. Now, I've had conversations with people I respect that have been in this for a long time. I sat down, I actually had the conversation with Jack Kenna and a couple other people that have been on these shows, Bill Bean, and how different ones are produced. And Jack, told me point blank, he doesn't mind when they do that. He likes it when it's added to. He likes it when fake Jack, because he's in these stories and he's the expert in the corner. You know where I'm coming from? And they're, they're cutting to him and going, well, demons will do that, and you have to take this serious, and, that kind of thing. And they've been doing shows like that for decades, but they're cool. So the format works, right? It might say, local paranormal expert or, whatever underneath his name. And he says he doesn't mind it. I say I prefer not to have that. Just show me what they're saying if you're going to put a visual. Does that make sense? That's my opinion. He says it adds to it. And when you go in and you watch some of the ones that Jack's on, like, God, so many, like A Haunting or something. And we always kid him and say fake Jack was actually picked up and thrown down the hallway. That's how much they overkill on this description on some of their videos. And he laughs and he says, yeah, it wasn't quite like that, but it was a good actor. He always has something positive and nice to say about the person, the actor doing, playing him, as he's telling the story, because he's done many cases and many. Laura, you met him, didn't you? Did you meet Jack at the Bash last year? Jack Kenna? Wonderful dude. Wonderful dude. Very straight up, very, very truthful, integrity. So many of my friends are at this point. Wouldn't you say, Laura? She's met so many of them. It's just, we're just here for the, we're just here for the gig, we're with the band, that kind of thing. Oh, speaking of band, look, what do you think? What? You know what this is? It's my whoa ghost. Whoa. You can't cancel me. Hey, Aunt Edna, how you doing, sugar? Just in time to see my new hat. What you think? Ain't it cute? Little whoa ghost. How many people know what a spooky woo hat? Yeah, spooky bitch. Thank you, Kathleen. I love it too. I'm very excited about it. I have another one. I might wear it tomorrow night to surprise you. I really like it. Chores to finish. Okay, Sarah, we'll be here. So, anyway, the story. So, the bastards won't let me show it to you, so I'm going to damn tell it, okay? So, here we go. Thank you, Anna. I like it, too. I think it's cute. Some of them are real sad looking. He just looks like he's what? Whoa. He reminds me of that little kid gif. How many people have seen that gif? It's like a little baby, but he can run. He's probably what, 1.5, 2, something like that. And he goes running in the door, and he goes whoa, and he turns around and goes back out the door. How many people have seen it? All right. You don't think so? You didn't meet Jack? Well, I think you went to sat in on a seminar that he was talking on. One of the ones that had about like 7, 8 guys up there telling, you know, telling stories and whatnot. Hmm. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, so many, and they come so many all at the same time, so it's hard to distinguish. But anyway, so here's the story. It's the first time I heard this story, or excuse me, saw it. I saw it on this show years ago. And when I came across it again, it blew my mind. And if I ever get a chance to actually show you the visual of it, I will. But like I said, there's a song in there that they're playing in the background. And I'm like, I'm not playing that game. So, uh, average dude, he's chilling in his apartment on the couch, watching a little TV. Okay. He's got the TV on a little stand across from him. So it's like the couch. There's nothing in between. Maybe a coffee table. Don't remember. I don't think there was anything in between them. I think he was just sitting on the couch. He's got the throw rug and the little portable TV on the stand, and he's got the door open, the screen door shut, right? And he says he's sitting there and he's watching TV. Stop, if you heard this, bear with me. You got your ear bobbers in? They can't hear you. So all of a sudden, he gets a little feeling and he looks, and through the screen door starts waft. Is that the right term? Wafting? What do you think, gatekeepers? How about it, mods? Wafting? Is that? I think that's right. Sounds right. Anyway, like cigarette smoke coming through the screen and just lightly, slowly, coming through the air about midway in the room. Thank you, Jack. And it comes and it gets in front of him, and it's wafting slowly, right? And it's smoke, and it's got a little trail, but it's coming back and forth and kind of I'm going to go for another one. Undulating. I believe that would be also correct, because it's getting larger and then smaller and pulling, like whiffs of smoke, good sage stick. And then all of a sudden he says, it's right in front of him, about midway in the room. And he starts to see a little bit of color. And he's just watching this. He's like, what? And the color becomes a little more distinguished, a little more distinctive, right? Don't ask me to spell undulating. I don't know if YouTube are they allowed to put that on the inner tubes, because we might get cut for that. I don't know. Mods, check on that. Can we get cut for that? We've got cut for so many weird things. I don't want to use the word undulating if we can't say it on the inner tubes. Okay. So he starts to see a very transparently, but obvious color, to the point where it's a very distinguishable plaid. Okay. And it's mostly red with the black, almost a very traditional, like the large red squares and the darker stripes, and but just a piece of it, just enough about midway. And he said, in his words, about the level as if someone were standing in front of me and was wearing a flannel shirt. Very similar to buffalo plaid, Vixen Doe. Thank you very much. And how are you, my love? Good to see you. It is a cool word, Kathleen. I think so too, but I think we have to be careful. You can't just go wielding that around anyway, willy-nilly these days. You know what I mean? Anything can happen. So I just think we have to be, we're going to use large words like that. I think we just need to be responsible. And can you believe that? Number one. It's the very first one. A little thing called free speech. I joke about, saying stuff like I joke. But I mean it. You can't tell me that you don't have to think about stuff like that. When they pulled us for the Earl Flynn, Lindsay, you were here. You saw it. Vixen, you were here. Ted, you can back me on this. We got totally demonetized because we talked about Earl Flynn, and supposedly he got a little, frisky. He was like a German Shepherd in a French poodle party. He was bold about it, but he did something that sounds like I guess you could say grape, like grape jelly. And they tried to pull the whole episode for it because we said that he actually went to court for that and talked about his trial. They didn't care about anything else. They didn't care about the, anyway, like I said, it's the very first one. So, plaid. And it was just the level it would have been if someone was wearing a flannel shirt standing right in front of him, but just ever so transparent. In fact, again, and I quote, he remembered being able to see the television set right through it. I know, Aunt Edna. Ha! You tell me. I don't try to sort it anymore. I just, I just avoid it all. For their own good. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, he can see the television through the plaid, and smoke is still there. And then all of a sudden, he said he reached out to touch it, to put his hand through it, and it disappeared. Like a TV going out. TV did not go out, but he said it was like a TV going out. Just now, he didn't think anything. He's like, oh my gosh, he's sitting there, and he said, I'm a reasonable man, and I'm trying to decide, talk to myself, figure all this out. So I think he said process. It's a good word to use. He was trying to process it, right? And he said, I thought, I had to be honest with myself and say, Earl Flynn, yes, that's exactly AJK. Wily bastard. He was something, wasn't he? Woo! Some of these people, boy, I'll tell you what. Unmitigated gall, the nerve. So anyway, he's trying to process this and not convince himself. I remember him saying that, not so much to convince himself that he saw a ghost, but to just try to come to terms with it. And then the landlord came around. He lived in an apartment. He said he really didn't see many people. He wasn't one of those people. He went to work. He came home. He minded his own business. He didn't really pile around with all the neighbors and stuff. Everybody kept to their own. Well, the landlord goes next door, knocks on the door, no answer. Uses a master key, goes in, pushes the door open, moves a mountain of letters out of the way that had gone through the mail slot. Unread, unopened. The minute he opens the door, he gets this overwhelming gust of stench, an unpleasant aroma, and you can guess what happened. The old lady next door that this man really never really talked to, he said that she thought she didn't have any visitors. She didn't have any family as far as he knew. No, he never noticed anybody going over there, nor did he really see her coming in and out a lot. Just your basic. And he didn't even notice that he hadn't seen her. Well, when the landlord went up there, he discovered the unfortunate, very lonely old lady. She had been dead for 6 months. 6 months. Nobody knew. The first thing I think of is how sad it is that nobody would know she was missing for that amount of time, but it's not the first time I've heard the story, unfortunately. But did she have her rent paid up that far ahead? Because wouldn't you think that people would be banging on her door after 6 months if the rent wasn't paid for the apartment? I'm just thinking. So anyway, unfortunately, this happened. He found out because the he happened to be there. I know, isn't it awful? He happened to be there when the landlord was coming around because, he came through to inspect, different things. So he's there on his porch and he watches them bring her out on a gurney. And when he brings her out on a gurney, he says part of the sheet was pulled back and she must have been wearing a flannel nightgown, a plaid, red and black flannel nightgown that matched the exact plaid he had seen standing in front of him. And he said he was floored. And then he had to process that, he said, and think she must have just wanted to come to somebody to say goodbye or to let her know that she was there. He said he didn't get any feeling of anxiety. It was very peaceful. It was kind of an enlightening moment. I mean, to the point where he was going to stick his hand, in it to touch it. And as they wheeled away, and he's understanding more of what happened, he said he felt very deep emotion for the whole thing. And he said he never really even knew her. And once I heard that too, I wondered if he changed his life. If he was a little bit more like to say hi to somebody, go out of your way to say, if you see him pulling the garbage can, and hi, Mrs. Whatever, how you doing today? Good to see you. Oh gosh, your, gladiolus look wonderful, or, look at those daffodils, or how you doing? Do you need to borrow a cup of sugar? Whatever. Especially if they're lonely. I've got couple of them around me, and I repeatedly have tried, and, I try to. You don't want to dig around, stir up that too much, but you keep an eye out. It's kind of sad. But anyway, that guy, it left that man feeling, I think, probably more warmth about it because, than shock or anything like that. He felt, I want to say honored, but at least special that she picked him to come and say goodbye to say goodbye to the world, and wanted to, have some kind of human notation for that, And he said he's on this end of it. He looks back and he says, science talks about how energy cannot be destroyed. Again, these are his words. I'm like, and he says even boiling water changes into steam. And he said even a slight connection that human bond, a human connection, even if you don't have what you think might have been any kind of meaningful connection with somebody, there's still enough with that human bond for the dead to go through whatever they go through and have it be important enough to connect to the living. Wow. Think about that. And we have a hard time connecting living to living. It should be easier, don't you think? You know? I mean, just think about it. That's incredible. And maybe sometimes that's all these things are. These quick, hello, I'm here. Look what I can do. Maybe that's it. And then again, there's other cases, there's other stories, there's other tales that would seem to lean toward there's so much more of a message that they need to get through. Maybe they don't even realize how frustrating it is for us to try to piece together the little bits and pieces they're giving us if we are lucky enough to get bits and pieces. And then if you're getting bits and pieces, how reliable are those? Because listen, I can interview, 100 people coming out of the local Walmart. And I'll tell you what, you're going to get 100 different things. I can ask them all the same question. How many of y'all have seen those videos? Some of them are so funny. Good God, what are we teaching our youth? Get a hold of a kid, man, straighten them out. Can't save them all, but you can get a hold of one by the ear and scream truth at it till it comes out the other side. Save one. Who wants to see a ghost story? Okay, now I got to go in here. Like I said, I had technical issues. We can fix it, though. I just have to load it in real time. Bear with me, guys. How's everybody doing? Did you have a good week? It's crazy out there, isn't it? How many people, let's see if we can kind of incognito this. Has anyone seen in their little town or city or parish or village any kind of odd movement, like, dinosaurs or maybe like large things flying overhead? You think it's just practice? Again, I'm talking in veiled stuff. American spirits go out constantly if you don't keep up. But you guys know what I'm saying? Anybody picking up what I'm putting down? Anybody tracking me? Any extra weird movements in the streets or anything like that? Everything cool? Everybody chill? Okay. I'm looking. Sometimes it takes a while for it to catch up. And I'll get an answer to a question. I'll notice it 5 minutes after I ask it. And I have no idea because I've forgotten what I've said. All right. I'm looking for the video. Bear with me. I need Jeopardy music. Do, 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 do. What did I call that thing now? Let me think. Okay. I think I called it. Golly day. A lot of videos in here, guys. This might talk amongst yourselves. Anybody got any good stories? I can hear Mr. Spirit talking. What did I call this? So how's everybody doing? Like I said, it's really crazy out there. I've heard a lot of good interviews. There's a lot of good movies coming out. Sound of Freedom. Well, I'll tell you what. Are you cool, Salvador? It's good to see you, sweetheart. Good to see you. Hang on, guys. I'll find it. Sit. Oh, Jay. Yep. Got it. Now this one, and I'll get out of here. They say, yeah. Winnebago, 22-foot Winnebago. Oh, okay. Rain. Didn't see anything weird. Spent the weekend bed rotting. Does that say bed rotting, Glenn? Or am I reading that wrong? Doppelgangers. I'm talking about like OD green vehicles or anything like that. Okay. If you see something, say something. Okay. So anyway, Ghostly Bits. This is, again, Ghostly Encounters. This is fun because not only is it a great ghost story, several, if I remember correctly, wrapped up into one, but it also tail ends off of haunted theaters that we've been doing and having so much fun with in the last couple episodes. If you're into that, you dig that kind of thing, there's 2 great episodes from last weekend, all ghostly theaters around the USA and Canada, and I didn't want to go past that because, man, I'm telling you, there's so many here. Yep, there you go, Laura. That's what I'm talking about. Lots of different kinds, huh? You seeing that too? Keep your eyes out. Situational awareness, everybody. Keep an eye on your 6, okay? All right, so here we go. Enjoy this. This is lovely. Now, this is both haunted theaters and ghosts on the job. And think about this. If you were at a job and your job was haunted, would you stay? And we can ask Steve to answer that tomorrow night, if you guys remind me, because that's actually happened to him. And it was quite the deal. It wasn't just as easy as it is to tell. It was quite terrifying at times. So some of you guys are seeing, yeah. Yep. Uh-huh. Straw dog, yep. Gotcha. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep, there you go. All right, so anyway, this is fun, and let's just watch it and see what you think.
First started out, my father worked at a theater in town, and I started there. Well, I was going with him when I was really young, like 12, 11, and he was the projectionist there.
You guys hear rain?
So I used to go in with him, just, watch the movies and, hang out kind of thing. And then when I turned 15, eventually got offered a job to work there.
Store, office, factory. They're more than just where we make money. A workplace defines who we are. But if our workplaces define us during our life, what role do they play once we're dead? Hi, I'm Lawrence Chow. Today on Ghostly Encounters, we meet Sherry and Adam. They both have stories about people who never left their job, even after they died. As a child in Trenton, Ontario, Sherry Overend spent many hours at the local movie theater. But Sherry tells us when she started working there, she learned that not all the theater's occupants were paying customers.
Well, in the beginning, when I started there, never really noticed too much until I started working like longer hours.
I do too. What the hell is that? It's on this video. All right. I'm going to have to go pee. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know where that came from. That's just weird. Making me have to go take a break, though.
And I was there a lot more. The first thing we started noticing was that there would be these pockets of lavender scent throughout the theater, and it would be in random spots. It could be upstairs in the projection room or behind the candy bar, and it would just be a really, really strong scent. We walk and stop, and walk back, and then we'd smell it again. And like for that, usually there was multiple staff on, so then we would all stand there and smell it. So we're like, okay, we smell this? Like, what is this scent? Kind of creepy. One night we were closing, and I think it was me and an assistant that was on, and we started to hear what we thought was like a little bit of a woman's murmur, or somewhat of a very faint voice. And we started to follow it, and we followed it to, I believe, Cinema 3. And as we're walking, it's getting a little bit louder. It seemed to be something like singing. Yeah, we kept walking, and then as soon as we hit the doorway, it completely stopped, and there was nobody there. And we checked the cinema, checked the exits. We even checked the guy's bathroom just in case someone was hiding in there. These, people sometimes like to hide in theaters, and and there was nobody, no explanation to where it came from or what it was. So. While I was working there, one night I was sitting there, and the lights burnt out. And it was a workbench light, so it was fluorescent tubes. And I changed the light, put it in, and then I was sitting there. All of a sudden the light undid itself, popped out, and then it was kind of eye level with me. It's just hovered there, and I was looking at it going, oh my gosh, what's going on? And then it just kind of like came towards my head, and I'm kind of like, whoa, and it just above my head and then dropped behind me. It didn't break or anything, it just like rattled when it hit the floor because it smacked floors. And yeah, it scared me half to death. I was like, crap. Time to leave now. So then after like a few hours, I'm like, okay, get my nerve back. I go back in, and I put it back in, and I taped it in to make sure it wasn't coming out again, and it didn't come out again. One night, we had a middle of summer blockbuster movie, and the movie had just lit out, turned on all the house lights, went downstairs to like close the booth and shut everything off. And I came up there, and I got to the top of the stairs, and out of the corner of my eye, I thought I saw someone sitting in the middle row looking at the screen. So I stopped and I looked, and I went, wait a minute. The guy's kind of a little bit translucent, and I kind of could see through him. Just lit out, turned on all the house lights, went downstairs to like close the booth and shut everything off. And I came up there, and I got to the top of the stairs, and out of the corner of my eye, I thought I saw someone sitting in the middle row looking at the screen. So I stopped and I looked, and I went, wait a minute. The guy's kind of a little bit translucent. I kind of could see through him. I can honestly say it was the most frightening thing I ever saw. And I usually am not afraid of anything. So when I saw him, I literally was like, it was like my feet were lead and I could not move because I was so scared. We got up and then start walking toward the exit, which is in the front. Just waltzes right through the door and disappears. And of course, at this point, I thought, oh my gosh, I couldn't have just saw that. So I took off, ran down the stairs. I thought, okay, well, I'm going to catch whoever this is, if it's prey. And flew open the exit doors, and there was nobody. That was probably the worst encounter I had there. And then after that, you know, I was terrified to go in that theater. I kind of think, well, I kind of think that he sits up there and looks at the screen because I kind of think that he's sad, or maybe he's looking for somebody or something. I went to the library and tried to do some research on the building. And I spoke to the librarian there, and she said, oh, well, you know, it used to be a vaudeville house. And during a performance, a man and a woman had died on stage. Something gave way, and she died, you know, instantly. And the man, I guess they were trying to, other people were trying to help him and carry him out to seek some kind of medical attention. And he ended up dying on the way. I'm not sure, maybe the couple were married or lovers. It's hard to say, I really don't know. Maybe one couldn't live without the other. It could very well be that maybe they're searching for each other and they're just in different parts of the building.
I don't think she knows how right she may be there, but that's very possible. But then again, we don't want to jump to conclusions and start putting, you know, names on everybody if we don't know, because I think that would agitate me if I was a ghost. What do y'all think? You know, I mean, I'm not picking on her or anything. I mean, it's a lovely story, but he could be somebody else. She could be somebody else, you know. It's a tragic story. And how many times do we say that? How many people getting killed in these theaters? And did you see her describing going out the door and she pushed on that bar? Where did that start from? The Iroquois Theater fire in Chicago. Remember, we talked about it in the Chicago episode. Susan, we're so happy for you, sweetheart. I mean, oh my God, tear it up, girl. You know, she got a great commission. This is what I'm talking about. Artists being artists and keeping the lights on for this world, and insert your word there, you know, to the world. We're going to keep the lights on. We're going to keep doing good stuff, being us, doing podcasts, writing books, carving beautiful pieces of art out of nature and wood, and just absolutely beautiful work. Go to SusanWoodcarver.com. She sounds like she's packing now. We love you, girl. Just drive on. Just drive on. Just like I said, don't stop being you. Don't stop living. Take care of what you need to take care of. But keep being you. Don't you dare let them put your lights out. That's just outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. Love to hear it. You love to see it. You love to see it. Okay, so this young lady, quite the story. The light bulb thing, incredible. And it didn't break when it hit the floor. And then she sees this guy coming in and sitting in the seat. He obviously, did you not get the feeling that he obviously just wanted her to know he was there? It wasn't like he didn't seem startled that she could see him or anything like that. He almost, and the way she described it, it seemed it was this way too, and not just the way it was portrayed in the video. And that's what I mean about trying to get the video as close to actually what happened is so important. That's what I mean about listening to what they're saying and don't go off with this, exaggerated, presence of, green goo dripping out of some demon's mouth, breathing down somebody's neck or some kind of mess just to make it sound scarier. This is just as as it happened, as scary as it happened, as startling as it happened, because that's the way it is in real life. She saw it, you're frozen, you're taking in as much as you can. He's sitting there, he's materialized, you're slowly processing it. You see this apparition, you're thinking he's not exactly dressed it, like for today. His mustache, somebody said in here, his ghostly mustache, right? Great way to put it, AJK. And she's processing that, and he's processing her, I believe. She can see me. She probably says, we don't know what he's thinking. How much has he observed? Is he in and out? Is he there all the time? Is he observing time and clothes changing and people changing? How much is he aware of? Is he as startled to see her as she is to see him? And she's processing this. And by the time she does, and he gets up and walks out, she's saying, can I see through him? Right? And he leaves and goes out the door. She pushes her way out the door. Nobody's there. Then that's another realization. You did just see something that doesn't quite match up to normal, day-to-day stuff. And you're processing again. Yeah. At this job, I had a woman, I can't say the word. That's the one that gets you taken off. And her spirit haunted the area where she died. Only woman could detect her. Just felt her presence behind them. Wow, Glenn. And similar kind of with Steve. And you guys remind me Steve's office story. And we'll get him to tell it. We'll go into some detail because you've heard parts of it, but it was really quite something, and across different things. But anyway, this girl's processing slowly as it happens. And I think that's what's important, because it tells people that has had an experience or just trying to understand this subject as close to true as possible. You see what I mean? I got you, Anna. So that's why I don't like the added on stuff, because that visuals are so important. That's why memes work. That's why advertising works. That's why logos work. So many other things work. Shape of a car, how somebody dresses, their appearance. Everything is important. The visual is important. And when you show this guy at a kitchen sink or a bathroom sink, whatever, brushing his teeth, and he looks up in the mirror and he's only saying, I felt something was there. And it was kind of ominous feeling. It was more of a, rather than just something was there and, and the atmosphere changed for a moment. This was a pressing, ominous feeling of like somebody's behind me or somebody's behind that shower curtain or whatever. This is what he's saying. And they're showing this demon. So he never said that. And your perception of the entire experience changes. As an investigator, again, I'm no expert. I'm only saying, as an investigator, somebody's just seeking the truth. Somebody's trying to sort shit. That's kind of an injustice to the actual story, I would say. Does this make sense? It's so important. Again, I'm not picking on people. She's telling a wonderful story. And they're portraying it well. But say she was on another show and they tell it a whole different way depending on what their narrative was. And that's why when I was younger, kid of 11 or whatever, searching for books and found Hans Holzer, why I was so elated, because I had finally found somebody who was breaking stuff down and telling me the truth. Good, bad, and the ugly. Just tell me how it really is so we can sort it, because if we continue to lie to each other or lie to, others people coming and lying, whether it's Bigfoot or aliens or conspiracies or just taking headlines and not understanding, it's a friggin' psyop to get you to believe something that's not true, to sell a ticket, to sell a book, to whatever. And I think this subject's too important because it deals with not only our spirituality, not only our well-being, not only our balance of thought. Does it make sense to you? Our balance of thought. If we've come this far and we're trying to sort things and we're trying to understand, we're not just trying to understand to explain our own experiences and something that we may have gone through, to try to place that and try to understand why that happened to us and what the person wanted or whatever it may be that we're focused on. Does that make sense? It's important to our balance of thought and in a lot of ways our mental well-being, because it helps us cope with things that we cannot control. We're all going to pass. That happens to everybody. You don't get out of it. It's the great it's what links everybody. Rich, poor, indifferent, whatever. Assholes, the best person that ever walked the earth. Animals, it's the one thing that links everybody. I think it's important because it gives us peace when we understand. Knowledge is power. And if we have peace, we can give peace to other people. And when we understand how fragile and precious life is, that it's so important to even strangers that are dead to come and for a moment be just a piece of plaid material, to say goodbye to a neighbor that in life it wasn't important enough to tell them hi at the mailbox, or that casual pass on the stoop, maybe even like not even a nod and making eye contact. Certainly not as much anymore. And what does that do? It makes you make your world very small, right? And I think we're supposed to reach out to each other. And I think that's why this is important. Because it also helps us sort how important this is. It was important enough to this guy to materialize in a chair to this person. And maybe it was because he knew she was going to take a moment to try to understand. Yeah. Maybe, 1,000 assholes walked through there. Just people caught up in, where they were going to, what color they were going to get their nails done next. I'm going to get my hair did. Or, what burnt, expensive coffee is, at the local drive-through on the way home, or how much the new purse, or what's, the Kardashians wearing. I swear I was at work and I heard somebody say that. And it was in a conversation she was having with somebody, and she actually threw it out as a point to win an argument about something she felt was important. I can't explain it, but I heard this loud and clear. Well, Kim Kardashian suggests that you use this because that's the one that she uses, and it does the best, whatever the fuck it was she was talking about. At that moment, you got nothing else to say to me. How you doing? Have a great day. just casual, civil, talk. But everything you say from this point on has lost all value. Do you know what I mean? If that's where you're coming from. And in the paranormal, I think it's like that too. That's everyday life. If there's, admit it. You can hear somebody say something so stupid that it changes forever what you think of that person, because somewhere in there, or they do something really crazy out of nowhere. And we've talked about this before. It's like, dude, totally understand having a moment, love it. But you sit next to a dog and it's not biting, and all of a sudden it just reaches up and wants to take your arm off for no reason, and you didn't do anything. You can't prevent it, and you know it's there. I'm no longer comforted by those things. I know you're going to do it again, so same thing with paranormal shows or authors or somebody tells a story and says it's true, and you find out, right? As a ghost, I don't know, honey. Kathleen, we just have to cross her over. Let the poor, bless her heart. We just have to let her go over there and tell her to get in that light and go get your stuff sorted, girl. No, you can't take your expensive purse with you or anything or anything else. I wonder oh gosh, that's a good question. What happens if you got a boob job and you go over there and you lose all the stuff that you didn't come into this earth with? Do you get to appear that you still have them? Do you lose your butt implants and your eyelashes and I guess you just appear the way you, but see, that's a good question, because if your earthly stuff is healed, you don't need anything anymore. I guess you could choose to appear anyway, but you don't have the limp anymore or anything like that. But do you lose your cheek implants and your boobs and whatever? I mean, that's a legit question, right? All right, well, let's finish up with this young lady. But I just wanted to point that out, that we can't jump to conclusions that just because you see, because I give you the Ford's theory, right? Okay. Many other cases. It's still raining. No idea.
Sherry believes the ghosts of 2 actors wander through the old theater. Our experts say that of all workplaces, theaters are the most likely to be haunted. And the older the theater, the more ghosts it's likely to have. Theaters may be magnets for the paranormal because of the intense artistic energy generated by theatrical performance. This may account for the ghosts Sherry talks about. But it doesn't quite explain the ominous presence that threatens Adam Kelly.
Did you hear what he said? Let's hear that one more time. I think I pulled it back far enough. Did you hear what he said? We just said this last weekend. All of us. You guys are so smart. And this is what I'm talking about. Over these years that we've been gathering together here, going over these stories and talking about it back and forth and throwing out ideas and searching for layers and connections and whatever, and pulling out all the BS. Look what he says. Apparently, his panel of experts agree with us. So how good do you feel right now?
Theaters may be magnets for the paranormal because of the intense artistic energy generated by theatrical performance. This may account for the ghosts Sherry talks about. But it doesn't quite explain the ominous presence that threatens Adam Kelly.
How about that? Okay, this young man, I love this young man. We'll get to this young man in just a second. But how cool is that? You guys are so smart. Because that's what we were talking about with theaters. The generated energy in there, as well as the tragedy, the emotion from those who walked before us, right? Yeah. Yeah. We must be panel experts too. Exactly. And Edna, I think we qualify. I think if somebody out there is good at production, I mean, I just throw little videos and stuff together. That's not what I'm talking about. I saw this great paranormal group. I wish I could remember their name. I don't know what the results are or how, you know, what they were doing is actually doing their videos like little documentaries and doing a lot of B-roll going down the street and all that, and try to talk about the house a little bit and try not to jump to conclusions. They had a couple of different psychics on and mediums on board. You know, I liked the little setup, and they were trying to do it like a documentary. It was really nice. People are really stepping up. And if you had a show like this and you had a secret panel such as yourselves, and they came on and they told the story, and then we could say, hey, well, wait a minute, you know, hold on now. It seemed to really be focusing on the, that one picture, and the dog reacted this way, and we could sort it. We could help them sort it out. That's a great idea. Somebody needs to get on that. I'm down. Who else is in? Are y'all in? Y'all in? Throw up bacon in here if y'all are in. We could be a secret panel of experts, because I'm telling you something. That's exactly what these shows have. Some of them might have PhD or psychologists, but can you imagine the writers or whoever, they got a runner that goes in and they said, you need to go in there and ask this university professor or whatever, and we'll repeat what they say. There we go. We got some bacon all in. D-Rock's in, and everybody. Look at them, everybody. So that's what they have. And they ask them a question. Well, if you think that this, ghost would have come back. Well, often, Tommy, the ghosts react physically in our physical, the way they were physically acting when they were physically here. And now they're just an essence of what they used to be, and they have unfinished business. That's what our experts say. And you kind of walk away with, what? Kind of leaves it, it's kind of a generic. You need people that are going to dig in and go, here's the thing. You were just thinking, what were you thinking about at that time? What was your emotional state? What were you going through in your life? Possibly have some kind of connection emotionally with this person who passed, and they felt that connection. And we could kind of get in like that. It would be deep, Then people be reconsidering, and they'd also, I think, stop treating this like it's some kind of generic hobby. And to some people it is, and that's fine if that's your choice. But as a whole, it's not going to grow, and we're not going to evolve into any more understanding and say all answers, or evolve into more understanding of it. We got to start being honest with ourselves. If we're going to go in, it's like, man, I'm going to go in there, see if somebody can get somebody to push me down the stairs. Make sure you got it on video. And then you stand at the stairs and go, you like to push people down the stairs? Push me. That kind of stuff. What are you going after when you're doing that? Again, not knocking it, just asking a question. What are you going after? Evidence. You want somebody to push you down the stairs. And then when somebody pushes you down the stairs and you get it on camera, you could, that was your goal. You see what I mean? What if you were there and you found out who it was that was pushing people down the stairs, why they're doing that? You could sort that. You could, over time, sometimes it's shorter than you think, could get them to understand that they don't need to have to stay there. And you could get them in their own free will decide to walk over or go to their next, whatever their next step is. That's a little bit more valuable to humankind, because you're dealing with human beings. You see? And if you're dealing with something negative, you're still dealing, that was never human. You're still dealing in the human being realm, because what you're trying to do is bound that son of a gun in whichever way possible you have to do so it doesn't harm the living or the dead. It's not a game. What we're going through right now is not a game. It's not a game. It's spiritual warfare. It's for all the marbles. That's why it's so important to keep your own lights on, like Susan Woodcarver, like Lindsay, like, she's always, your light's so bright, sweetheart. I see your pictures. I see what you do, and you stay busy and doing all kind of creative things. So many people in here. That's fighting. You're fighting to keep your personality and what's important to you and putting it forward. And some of you may not be trying to get others to notice, but if you're selling, of course you are. If you're giving as gifting or just providing for yourself and creating something for you, just express yourself, or, helping nature, whatever. It's all giving back, and that's fighting in the spiritual war, and you're fighting the spiritual war by throwing darts of light out into the universe, whether it be in song or in prayer, or in good energy or goodwill, in kindness, in laughter, right? Or a moment in time where a young lady who's just working in her dad's theater sees a man that hasn't lived for 100 years, both in the same time. There's so much to that. It's more than just a recording on a videotape or in a person's mind on their memory. It's more than that. It's more than a story. It's something that's been going on forever, and people are still arguing whether or not it exists. And I find that I wouldn't even go as far as say I'm not even annoyed by it anymore. I'm not even shocked by it anymore, where people are still arguing. Goes, oh, that's silly. Those people are crazy. They believe in that ghost nonsense or that spiritual warfare nonsense. They believe in them there angels. Oh, you believe in Santa Claus too? Yeah, as a matter of fact, I do. I think Santa Claus is a state of mind. Somehow they tricked us in many things, but the reason people do that, if you so choose to do that, is the same reason you make your favorite preserve and take a jar over to a neighbor, knock on the door, and they have no idea where it came from, or maybe they do, but you're not doing it for any other reason but to put a smile on somebody else's face, make an impact, drop a pebble, a ripple, right? These people had a moment in time, and I think that's a big deal. And I think it's a shame that ghosts, for some reason, can't just come up and go, hey, look, I'm stuck in this place. I'm really pissed about it. Something fell on my head. The next thing I know, I'm here. Nobody can see me. It's a pain in the ass. I really need somebody to know that I got, this, hidden in my, the wall of my old house, or some kind of mess, or I didn't shoot, I shot the sheriff, but I didn't shoot the deputy, whatever message it is. That's so important to them. They are still anchored to this piece of shit earth when they could be floating in their highest spirit and understand why they came here in the first place and what they came to do. And did they get it done? Obviously, they're not done. Right? I mean, think about that. Because when you're I hate to say studying the dead because you sound like a, mortician or whatever, but when you're the message of the dead who aren't quite dead, when you stand in the battlefield, when you stand in a dark cellar, when you're given a tour and you're telling the story of history, and the people you're talking about show up in a wispy, form of themselves. That feeling that soul is still there. It's crazy. And I just think it needs to be taken a little more seriously than with a little more heart than push me down the stairs. Jimmy, make sure you get it on the video. Well, this one's gonna go viral, man. It's more than that. It's more than that. It's more than hiding in a graveyard and jumping out it, you know. And it's more than, as Steve brought up, that those people in the chat, they're being real flippant with him. It's like, man, we've lived on the res, or I got friends that are full blooded, whatever, and they said this, all that stuff is bullshit. Really? Really? How do you know? How do you know that anything anybody tells you that's so important that it could cost you your soul, your desire to live, as so many people that were not believed were taken out by a power, an energy, an entity, whatever you want to call it. There's so many different things that could mess with you so much that you'd actually wish for death. These things exist. Just take me out. How many movies have you seen? I know it sounds dark, and it is dark, but it's serious. It's not just, a ghost realizing, and having that connection and crossing them. That's like the best part of it. Helping somebody be free and released from maybe a prison of their own making. But the dark, dark, dark is there too. Just in your life right now. That's why you keep the lights on. How can you play around in that? We've talked about, the Ouija boards. Okay. You got to know what you're doing. You got to know what you're doing when you drive a car, fly a plane, right? How many different things? So it's not just flippant, How do you know the people you're talking to that say, don't worry about that? That's all BS. Really? Okay. Heard that before. That's like the guy when you're on the highway and you're trying to go around, or you need to pass, right? You're going down the highway. Oh gosh. How many movies have you seen when that's happened? And the guy reaches out and goes, come on, man. I think it happened in Duel. It's the first time I ever saw that one. Come on, man. The guy pulls out and almost gets hit on traffic because the son of a bitch wanted to kill him. That's like those people who tell you, hey, you got to worry about none of that. Oh, that's bullshit. Listen, I sat in a ring full of people more than once in any powwow, name it, and sat with people who were not considered elders because of a stance, but just because they were older and had been around a while, and would sit there and tell everybody that came up and asked them, oh, this is, I hear that this is sacred. Nah, nothing is sacred. That word's thrown around too much. And yeah, there's nothing to the sage stuff. We just do it as a traditional thing people expect it of us. They're blowing off everything. There's no magic. There's no magic. There's no energy. There's no this. There's a, and, all this kind of thing, and just blowing everything off and telling everybody go away. You know why? Because they don't think you're privy to the knowledge. Can't handle the truth. You got to earn that. And those same people, after everybody goes home, will sit around, and after they've picked through the ones that shouldn't be there anymore and the real conversations start, you're still not close. Because those people who are trying to not be extinct and to continue their traditions have to be so careful because they've been persecuted for so long, like many other cultures. that they are afraid to say anything that's outrageous or outlandish and to call attention to them. They have to be careful and make sure anybody brings any drugs in there, any firearms, any weapons. If you're not selling knives and they don't stay on the table, you're not supposed to be carrying them. It depends on what powwow. So if you think you know everything because you have a couple of friends how do you know? And if you care about yourself to understand that these things can happen and people's lives can be destroyed, the families, their bloodline. I'm not joking. Bloodline curses, that's nothing to shake your finger at. But why would you listen to some idiot that so quickly and so insistently would say to you, that doesn't exist. Go ahead and try it. Have a good time. Jump in. Water's fine. Jump off the cliff. Drink the drink. Take the pill. Take the whatever. Roll the dice. Spin the wheel. Life is short. Have a good time. Right? So I like this kid's attitude. I didn't mean to go on a tangent like that, but nothing irritates me more than people going in and agitating a ghost and not treating like a human being and treating like a what do you call it, like a circus act or a circus monkey or something like that. These are human beings. And if you were stuck in that position, wouldn't you want help? And don't be so sure that the bad stuff isn't out there. You're antagonizing it. You know my little thing about the sharks. It's all right when you're standing on dry land making fun of the sharks. Get in that water with them. That's what's going to happen because everybody's going to pass. And then you're in their territory. That ought to cause you to pause. If you have a brain in your head. Just saying.
I'm a big believer. This is the first place I've lived in where anything's happened. I've lived in 3 places and nothing happened in those other places. I wouldn't consider them haunted. The place I lived in now, I would consider it haunted. There is something there.
Adam was a teenager when he moved into his new house. Like many teenagers, his life was music and good times, and Adam expected that to continue. What he didn't expect was that the house had another resident, one who had a very different idea of good times.
I live in an apartment above a department store in Port Elgin, Ontario. And as far as I know, the building that's there now is about 50 years old. I moved into this place in May of 2004, and nothing really right off the bat, nothing really spooky happened right off the bat. But after a couple years, in 2006, I started noticing just little tiny things, like I'd hear feet shuffle across the floor when I was home by myself. You kind of look around, there's no one there, there's nothing around. Maybe like your name being called once or twice, just odd things like that. You see the shadows a lot of the time out of the corner of your eye. You walk out of a room and you just think down the staircase there's someone standing there and there's no one there. It was never terror, never like really horrified, but a little unnerved. That's a better word for it. Just like a little shaken up a little bit. And it always happened once I got dark outside. It was fine during the day. Nothing really happened during the day. But come nighttime when it was dark, that's when I guess the specter likes to come out, right? Those were the small experiences that first got my attention. I was brushing my teeth, looking in the mirror, and it was just a normal night. I was just getting ready for bed. Looking in the mirror, I thought I saw someone walk through my living room and into my kitchen, and it startled me because I was the only one in the house at the time. I was brushing my teeth, looking in the mirror, and it was just a normal night. I was just getting ready for bed.
There's a demon standing behind him.
And I just saw what looked like a person walking through about a foot of the view of mirror and into the kitchen. And there wasn't much detail. It was just solid black. It wasn't transparent like what you hear in some tales. And it was really quick, and it startled me. When I turned around, I walked out of the bathroom and into the kitchen, and I was shocked to find there was no one there at all, which kind of startled me. No, there's no way anyone could have been in there. So, but I know what I'd seen. That was pretty much the end of my night. That's when I just went to bed and was just like, no, I'm not staying up anymore, not right now. Left a pretty big impact on me. That was one of the first times where I'd actually like physically seen something. That throws you off a little bit. And then I would almost rather find someone in my house, you know what I mean? Sometimes like you see that, I'd rather actually walk into the kitchen and find someone there. Yeah, I got up the next morning, not really thinking about it too much. I wasn't thinking, ooh, I saw a ghost last night. I guess the path that whatever walked into my kitchen would have taken, some grease marks had appeared on my floor. And just pretty spooky stuff. It's probably about 3:30 in the morning. I'd been up for a while and I was thinking, all right, it's time to go to bed. I'm gonna hit the hay. And I stood up, and as I was walking over to the door, I felt something grab my arm. As soon as it grabbed my arm, I'm thinking to myself, is this really happening? Is there actually something grabbing my arm right now? And I found myself face to face with a figure that was solid. You can tell there was a head. You can tell there was shoulders. No features, solid black. You couldn't see through it at all. So I brought up my hand, my index finger, and I tried to see what it'd feel like. And when I touched it, there was nothing there. It sounded like my finger stopped. The finger just went right into this black mass of shape. And when my hand went into it, it just kind of turned off like an older TV would turn off. Just went from like corner to corner, and from each side of it just kind of went and was gone. And that's when I knew there was something in my house that was just beyond the beyond. The fact that it grabbed me, that's what really pushes me over the edge, is the fact that it can touch you. You always hear like, no, I can't touch you. Ghosts couldn't do anything. Ghosts couldn't grab onto you. Ghosts can't hurt you. The feeling of that thing grabbing onto you lets you know that it's there, and there's a good possibility that there's always going to be something there, no matter really where you live. I started to ask some of the people
He's not wrong.
that had worked at the store and some of the people that lived in the area, was there an older building there at a time, or how long has this been open for? And it had been a department store since 1971. But before then, I had heard it was a garage, and I heard that there was a man killed there. I live in an apartment above a department store, and it had been a department store since 1971. But before then, I had heard it was a garage, and I heard that there was a man killed there. A younger man named Ernie used to work there, and a car fell off a hoist and crushed him. So I started to think, well, like a mechanic or someone like that. When I heard that, I didn't put it together right away, but I started to think, black marks on the floor. It's like it was grease. It was like that type of grease doesn't wash off easy. I think he just takes advantage of having someone so active living on his old space. It's like, I'm a pretty energetic person. I think it knows that. It feeds off my personality and the way that I live. It just, I think it might even react with me, you know what I mean? It kind of was like, oh, there's that crazy kid. It's just trying to hang out, I guess. One of the guys, yeah. But it definitely likes to hang out, especially with me.
Our experts tell us there seem to be two kinds of ghosts, those that appear to everyone and those that are attracted to a particular person for some reason. So Adam may be correct in his belief that the ghost likes to hang out with him because of his energy. Paranormal research reveals the deep attachment ghosts feel to the workplaces they die in. Violent deaths also tie spirits to the place where they died. Perhaps Ernie, the dead mechanic, continues to work on cars after his death. And perhaps the two actors who died in the theater are not wandering aimlessly, but rather are performing together in the afterlife.
Yeah, I would say that things I've seen in my apartment have definitely changed my life and my view on maybe not so much an afterlife, but energy still staying around, you know what I mean? The person's maybe impact that they've had on other people.
It is possible that they exist. I've seen enough to know, I guess you'd say, and it's, as I say, it doesn't really scare me so much anymore. I'm just kind of like, it's just, kind of there, and if it happens, it happens. And it's definitely, it makes it.
And as I was on my side looking.
Okay. Let me take this one down for a minute. All right. Love the kid. I thought he had a great attitude, and he's not wrong. Think about it, about the energy he's drawn to. The grease marks on the floor, he put it together that this guy was a mechanic. He died. A car fell on him. It's terrible. Used to be a mechanic shop, but decades before now, when he's living in this apartment. He's got a great attitude about it. Yep, I've seen enough to be a believer. Exactly, Straw. Exactly. You know? And it's like Steve says, I know what I saw. And the cool part about doing this stuff, talking to you guys, having guests on that are at this level to where they're not even asking, does it exist? Does Bigfoot, exist out there? We're way past that. We say it all the time, way past, the magic bullet and JFK and Oswald did it alone and all that, way past that. And to get on here and sort it. And here's this kid, God bless him, probably not a kid anymore, but, had such a great attitude about it. And thinking too, what if they were, he keeps saying an older man. And of course, in the video, the mechanic was portrayed as a younger guy. I don't know if they kept that, true to life, how old he was when he passed. I don't know. But again, what if he was not just attracted to the energy of how his kid enjoyed life and music and probably was real social and, sports and all this other stuff and all around, but the energy of just being a young male, um, a familiar energy like that, this guy might have some kind of connection and memory of what it was like to be young and maybe dancing, to some wild music coming over the old radio in the mechanic shop or something, and saw himself in this living kid in some way. And I find over the decades, that's probably one of the most valuable lessons I've ever learned about trying to sort this wonderful world of ghosts and apparitions and shadow people and, that realm is intelligent ghosts, intelligent hauntings. Let's put it that way. The ghosts seem to be attracted to a person, their energy first. And when we say that, it sounds like, oh, she's such a good person, her light's so bright. They're attracted to that. That's not wrong, as far as I can see at this time, in my opinion. That's not wrong. That's absolutely correct. But it's not the only thing. Because people can be attracted to darkness and the dark in someone as well, the negative, the depression, the whatever, the worry, the fear, right? So both things have to be true at the same time, but also the stuff in between. The loss of a love, the looking for a child, wanting to have parents, like the young kids that were still haunting. They died in a closet in a fire, if you remember that ghost story. And they were attracted to that man because he was missing his kids. That was Michael Madsen, by the way, the actor. Great actor. Reservoir Dogs. It's in the one of our intro things on that Showtime, where we have all the flashes of the movies. Reservoir Dogs is one of my. That was a heck of a movie. It's not for the faint of heart, and it's not that I approve of everything that happened in that movie. Disclaimer. But it was very well acted, very much like Usual Suspects. Also another favorite. Yep. I like the more psychological stuff than the just outright gore. I'm not a gore person. I can handle it if it's in the story, if it's a true crime or if it's something like that. But if it's just gore for gore's sake, I'm out. I'm not into the pinheads and the saws and the cabins or the what was that one that was big when I was in high school? Chainsaw Massacre shit. There's enough of that in real life every day. Look out your window. I don't need to go adding to the sauce. And given the wackadoos ideas, that's a pet peeve of mine. As much as I enjoy watching a good CSI and stuff, I think sometimes they get a little too deep to giving people ideas. I mean, you can't say it's not true. You got some psycho sit in the fence and go, you know what? I know it's just a Monday, but man, that's a good one. And pass that up. I'm gonna give that a whirl. Am I wrong? You know? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's like all the gratuitous whatnot. I mean, even in I was so pleased, and a couple of the other things. This is way off topic, but well, it's got sharks, so it fits. So just wedge it in there. Yeah, yeah. Well, straw dog. You don't go to the ocean because of Jaws. Exactly. And it's like you think about it like psychological warfare shit works, right? You know, look at Tokyo Rose and all that other stuff. Everything could be a psyop, right? Everything from advertising on a soup label to a novel being put out there. Oh, thank you, Vixen. Thank you. But anyhow, I digress. I just think it's interesting to look at ghosts and all these different. It's like this crystal. Oh, that's such a good little analogy. Look. I can tell you, as a jewelry teacher, I've taught wire sculpting and all this other stuff. I'm no gemologist. My sister is. She ran a jewelry store for 35 years. She is an actual, she's got papers. So anyway, I don't. I learn about gemstones as they come into my life, or like if I have somebody I'm making something for and it's their request, I'll learn about it because they're usually interested too, is why they're drawn to it. I learn as I go with that. I'm no expert, but I can tell you this, that Swarovski crystals, and I know this isn't a Swarovski, but the earrings hanging off of it are. But let me see if I can show you. I get such lousy pictures with but you see it from the lovely Laura. I know she's probably gone to sleep, but isn't that beautiful? Look, you are getting sleepy. Look deeply into my eyes. You're getting sleepy. Isn't that gorgeous? It's absolutely fucking gorge. Let me stop swinging for a minute. And I love the chakra, right? And of course the heart with Dickens' name on it. Sweet. But the point is, as far as the analogy, there is a crazy amount of facets in this crystal, correct? Yeah, it's beautiful, right? And ghosts are like that. See-through, beautiful, but there's a crazy amount of facets, layers, and then all the reflections, isn't it? And there's my little earrings. I made those. But and all the reflections and all the directions and the lives and the things it affects, right? Because a ghost isn't just appearing like, I wonder what it wants. It might not know. Is it aware of you? I mean, you only get so many times where you get that it stops and it looks at you, takes a moment, and then maybe goes on. It's creepy as all get out. I think that's one of the creepiest though. It's like, what? But it's also creepy. I think, like, say, if you, I can't remember his name, was it Mike or Hank, or the young gentleman who was working on the plumbing and saw the Roman soldiers go through. Yeah. I mean, he was so close that he could see that they needed a shave, that they hadn't shaved for a while, as Romans shaved back then. They were coming back from battle. They were war weary, combat weary. The horses were combat weary, right? That's amazing. But not once. He said he felt, if you know the story, and it's really good. It's in one of the Halloween treat bags. And again, if you love ghost stories just nonstop and you don't care what you get, whether it's a haunted castle or this or a story or an old song from 1929 about spirits and ghosts and fun grab bags. There's like 5 2-hour, 3-hour grab bags in on this channel. Go in and find it. And it's just one thing after another. It's wonderful. And this Roman ghost stories in there. It's amazing. And it's so detailed, and they take you to the actual place it happened and tell the story. What a treat if you like a good ghost story. But the Roman soldiers that came through, the horses, he could smell the horses. He could smell the combat on these soldiers, And he said he felt that if he had leaned forward, they could grab him. He was that close. Right? But not one of them turned and looked at him and acknowledged his presence. They just kept on going. He wasn't even there. And then went on. So there's different ones. But I think those, like this young man went through, he's in the apartment. This thing is kind of like when they're standing there and he puts his hand in and the thing just like an old TV set. I love that description. Those are no. When you cut, I remember the click it used to make. It was it fade to black. Interesting. It seemed to want to understand him as much as he wanted to understand it. Very much like that one story we saw back in the day. We'll have to watch that one again. It was so good. Where he didn't quite understand, and the faces were coming out of the wall, and fires were starting, and all this bad stuff. And I think the ghost even came after him with a knife. Do you remember this one? And he sorted it, though. Do you remember that? He sat down, he was talking to him and just putting his intent out there and sorted it to where he broke that ghost into realizing why he was in the agitated state he was in, angry and violent and scared and acting all evil and looking evil. Anybody would have cut it off right there, would have said, demon, get this going on in there or whatever. No, this dude that knew nothing about ghosts, but knew more about being a compassionate human being than he gave himself credit for, went through all this. I mean, he went through a lot. Do you remember? He lost his apartment. He was camping out in the woods. Do you guys remember this story? It was fantastic. He's camping out in the woods, lost everything, and this thing still followed him. That's what I'm talking about. You can ruin your life. It's nothing to play with. All you youngins out there think you're tough and all that stuff. Go ahead. Go ahead. I don't want you to do it, but if you're bound and bent and you don't want to listen, I'll tell you what, the universe has a way of fixing stupid. It's going to hurt. And rightfully so. We all went through it. That's how we got to be able to sit back and be all wise. Not that we're wise, but we have our moments. Every once in a while, a little wisdom comes out of this chat. Aren't I right, mods? We see all kind of wisdom coming from all around the globe on this show, where people come out and throw out a zinger and make everybody go, damn, 100%. Yeah, it's a good story, right, Vixen? And I mean, he's out in the woods camping. This thing's still bothering him, messing with him. And he goes back. I think he goes to a hotel finally, gets himself together, goes all the cross. Didn't he drive cross country or some shit? Like 5 states, right? And he gets a new job, moves in with the brother-in-law or some mess. Anyhow, thing follows him, backseat, driving, looking at in the rearview mirror. He's back there, just draining him of energy and making him bad things happen to him, bad luck, lost. About beat this man into the ground, son. I mean, this ghost was not playing. But you kind of got the idea that this ghost didn't really want to. He was reluctant. I mean, he was caught up. I don't know. It was something, it would take years to analyze this. It could go deep. But on the surface, It seemed he was reluctant. He didn't really want to be this way, but he was just this way. Like, you know, got caught up, I guess, in life. We all do. So anyhow, this dude still he gets a hotel, and the damn curtains and everything catch on fire. Do you remember this? And he wakes up, he can't get out of the it was just horrible. And this ghost caused that mess, real fire. And remember, we were talking about it because we were saying, is it a manifestation? Is he making him telepathically think he sees fire? No, this was a real fire. Now he's got to pay for the damage. They can ruin you, man. And this wasn't even a meme, but this was just a human being that was pissed and confused and dead. Bad combination. Am I right? Come on, gatekeepers. You know? I mean, like I said, it's not nobody's saying that we're wise and we know all the things. We're smart enough to sit down and talk about it, because all wisdom does not come from one place, right? And, I just hand it to these people that are trying to sort it and not jump to conclusions. And they're not freaked out. And they kind of look at it like the special thing it is. Right? And that one guy that got everything ruined and almost lost everything, because it still had the compassion to continue to try to communicate with this old man, and he broke through, didn't he, guys? He broke through and found out that this guy, I can't remember what it was, something had done wrong to him, and he just got caught up in the anger and anxiety, and his energy got all twisted and manifested as negativity and stuff. Just a regular old dude, regular old, just a regular human being, got caught up and dead, right? And got that man crossed, changed his life and the old man's life, got his life together, got himself all spruced up and everything, got on a ghost show and told the whole story about it. And he didn't even have an air that he had done anything great. But in my book, he sure as hell did. You'd be hard pressed to find somebody to go out of their way like that for a living stranger. Right? How many people would do that go that length for a friend or a family member? Or has somebody done it for you? Were you ever in that bad a shape? So I think it was pretty special. And it's one of the best ghost stories out there as a teaching tool, because anybody would have gone in there and just said negative energy and just started, going at it and battling and stuff. And here is this guy that just needed, well, it's a lot to go through, but needed some time, right? Right, Aunt Edna, right? Me too. It was an amazing story. We'll show it again. So, what time is it? We got time for one more. You want to do one more? All right, listen. I'm going to save this other one, and we'll watch that story one time again, because it's such a great learning tool. But yeah, he was an amazing guy, and he didn't have that air either. That, like I said, that look what I did kind of thing. He needed Straw Dog. You're absolutely right, because look, that's what broke through it. When, okay, it was so okay. D-Rock, I got you. Good one. But that's it. That's the answer. Ask any gatekeeper in here. That's it. The love. They want you to forget that. They want you to be so caught up. Insert your own day. We all know what we're talking about. They want you separated. They want you off in groups. They want those groups fighting. They want every group to feel oppressed and lost and not enough. They want you to feel hopeless. They want you to feel like there's no reason to keep going because nothing happens. Let me tell you something. Stuff's happening. You can bet your bippy on it. Now listen. And listen close. I can't tell you how bad it's going to hurt. How long it's going to last. There's definitely something happening. You feel it. I feel it. We all feel it. We all feel the separation. We all feel the ascending. We all feel the consciousness. We all feel the time speeding up. We all see the strange things all around. We got aliens. We got prices and chickens and cows. Oh my gosh. Cows, spontaneous combustion, people breaking things in the kitchen and all kinds of stuff. It's crazy out there. Right? But they want you to not bother anymore. That's when you need to dial it up to 11. All right. So listen, I promise you a good one. I didn't have time to edit through this one because I got it in the last minute before we went on. That's one of the reasons I was late, but I wanted to make sure I had enough material for you guys tonight. And I was so glad to be able to get this one through, because what this does, it's a special one for the gatekeepers, and it's a special one for the for those who are trying to learn to enjoy the journey. We all have bad days. Believe me, I've punched a lot of walls in my time. You know, like I said, keeping that monster, woo, you know, especially when you start to learn truth and you start to learn how much you probably have been lied to, even though you've seen it for decades, wherever you may have started, whether it was, you know, finding out the Easter bunny, or when you started to put that together, just bunnies, eggs, timing, whatever it was for you. When you started to realize that there was lies and not everything you read was true, everything you were told was true, and you're still in here in the subject that is probably the most, when you add everything together, but conspiracies and aliens and extra dimensionals and portals to ghosts to chupacabras to, you know, the psyche of a human being who would, you know, be a serial killer, and trying to sort it all, but understanding it's all connected in some way, at least the metaphysical stuff, the consciousness, so much so that we can feel it, we can change things as a group and actually make a difference. It's proven over and over and over again, right? And the only way you can do that is with putting that light out, whether, like I said, laughter, making those little choices of, I'm not going to flick that car off, or I'm not going to run that person over because they didn't look and just walked in front of you. You feel it. We all feel it. It's like, man, I could, because you're so sick of people just taking for granted and being arrogant about it, and not even bothering to do the small courtesies anymore. You let a car in, they don't even bother saying thank you. Don't tell me that'll piss you off. But love of Pete, how many times have you held the door open for somebody going into a convenience store or bodega, or what do you guys call them out there in the UK? You don't call them mom and pops. What do you call them? Quarter stores? I bet you got a cute ass name for them. Come on now. All my people, friends across the pond. What do you call them in Canada, Lindsay? Ted? Back me up. What do you call them? In New York, you say bodega, and in the South, you kind of, you know, going down to the quarter store, you know, or you'll hear a gas station. I'm going down to a gas station. I don't know. The world's a funny place. And, you know, to think of how quick it makes you mad and disappointed when you open the door for somebody going into bodega, when you open the door to a Kroger's or whatever, and the person just walks through like they're entitled to it. And you think, man, they could have just said thank you, common courtesy. They want that gone too. They want you to feel helpless and beaten. And don't you do it. Understand that you are part of the light, and that outweighs all of the darkness, no matter how much they keep putting it in your face. Because a little bit of light wipes out the darkness. You've seen it, you've experienced it, you've heard stories about it, and you understand that that is the most powerful weapon. In all that darkness, that young man, even living in the woods trying to get away from it, still took the time for a total stranger to help them go into the light. He even tried to kill him, tried to stab him. A couple times he woke up, he was standing over him with a knife, remember? All that darkness. One man reached out his hand. Watch this one.
Members, who's also a friend of mine, in the main basement of Beath House. And I thought, uh-oh, I could feel a chill coming off the bathroom. I stepped back, and there was the matron. And I look, and I could see her outline, and she's following my friend. Most of my life I have lived here in Halifax, but I have lived in different parts of Halifax, from everywhere from the south, the west, the east, and what's interesting would be, I'd have to say, the north end of Halifax. That's where our history is. I am an artist, and myself and a business partner founded an art gallery for the disabled called V Street Gallery Studio in a historic building called Beath House.
Right out the gate, what did you notice? Not the nuns, Ted. What did she say? She said she was an artist. I promise you, this is going to be one of the most beautiful ghost stories you ever heard. And then we're out of here. I know we're running late, but this is worth it. It's only about 8 minutes. But what she just said was she was an artist. She's already got the light, correct? Yes. Yes, Star Dog. Yep. It's got a lot to do with it.
It's a replica of an orphanage that had been destroyed by the Halifax explosion.
What happens when a person dies without warning? Do their souls go straight to heaven? Or do they get lost and wander the earth, searching for a home? Hello, I'm Lawrence Chow. The Halifax explosion was one of the biggest man-made disasters in history. 2,000 people died almost instantly. Our experts believe their sudden death accounts for the abundance of ghost stories in Halifax. Today, we meet Sheila Smith, who tells us of a ghostly encounter with spirits who lost their way after the explosion. Some of the spirits come to her for guidance, but others seem to have a more sinister purpose.
I was once told by my mother that certain people have a light, if you will, that emanates from them, and some was brighter than others. My mother told me mine was always very bright, and she said spirits, well, it's like a lighthouse. They can see it, and they're going to be attracted to that. Beath House started off as a small orphanage. I don't know when it was originally built because of the incident of the Halifax explosion where the two ships collided that were both filled with munitions. Orphanage and many other structures in Halifax was destroyed. They had rebuilt that orphanage not long after the destruction of the first one because one was needed so desperately. When I first started working there, I had heard little bits and pieces about the ghost boy, and I didn't really think too much of it. And part of me thought, well, It'd be kind of neat to see or hear something, but then I realized that I'm up there most of the time by myself. When you're up there by yourself and the cold winter wind is blowing on the outside, it's a little bit creepy. And especially if you go in there after dark, you have to go through a number of feet before you get to the light switch. So I would whistle to myself until I got my hands on it. Anyway, there was one day when I had just about everything cleaned up and I was up there by myself. The room went dead silent, and I mean dead silent. No creaking of pipes or floorboards, nothing. And I heard, Sheila, like a little child. And it was very distinct and very clear. I turned around and I couldn't see anyone, so I continued with my work. I felt kind of like a chill, I guess, on my back. And I knew the air had gone different. And I heard, hey, and I heard heel foot, heel toe, heel toe. And I went to look in the hallway really fast, and I could hear back and forth in the hallway and this little laughter. And I thought, oh my goodness. So I was pretty scared. I had my pen in my hand and I was holding it so hard I heard it crack. I slowly walked into the studio and I thought, oh, those are handprints. Oh my. Just like little children, you know. I had folded it and put it somewhere and I couldn't find it afterwards. We had a Christmas party. There must have been at least 20 adults there. And there was lots of food and people were just milling about. And I was working by myself. And I heard, like small little loud footsteps, child and stomp, he, laughing and going on. And I thought one of the guests must have brought their child. So I went to see where the child was. I remember thinking his outfit looks a little outdated, but I thought, well, some people, that's sort of the style now, how they, dress children from the 20s and, different time period. I thought, oh, well, it's probably just this little Christmas outfit. And I said, well, where are your parents? And he said, I don't know where my parents are. And I said, well, they've got to be here somewhere. He goes, maybe. I don't know. I said, you stay in this area. Do not play on those stairs. I'm going to go find your parents. So I went around asking, each person, adult person, if they had a small, young, blonde child with them. And everyone had said no. So I went back down to the spot where he was playing, and he was gone. I couldn't even hear him. He was in the photos of the children who had died from the Halifax explosion. That was the child who I had actually spoken to. I was in the studio late one afternoon, and I remember because there was an electrical storm outside, and there was on one side of the building, the trees are actually touching the window, and I remember thinking, that window's going to come right through if that wind gets any harder. And then we had a flash of lightning. And I was talking to my business partner. I felt the air change. I said, uh-oh. And apparently, spirits can, when there's electrical molecules and whatnot in the air, it gives them more cohesion. There was enough energy where he was almost materializing, and I felt like him standing in front of me, and it only went to here, and it went right through me, and I kind of doubled over. And then it happened again, but from behind, and he was running in and out of me, through me. And he's going right through my center, my core, so I'm feeling it like all over, but it's centered, it's more powerful here. So, and he thought it was very funny. He thought it was funny when I would double over, like he wanted me to know that he was there. But eventually he did tire of that little game, but it was very annoying.
Our expert Gina Bain-Taylor says ghosts can interact with the living in many different ways. Sheila sees the boy ghost's behavior as game-playing and harmless. But she is disturbed by the behavior of another, whose ghostly games border on harassment.
I did a research project on the history of Veith House. I found myself in the library more often than not, looking up, ghosts and spirits, especially from Halifax. I had looked back at some of the city records of the employees and what types of things went on there, and they had nurses and matrons. From what I've read, Veith House was destroyed in the Halifax explosion, and just before the biggest part of the explosion, one of the matrons who looked after the children, the orphans, had heard some rumblings coming from the harbor, and she thought, well, World War I was on, so she thought it had something to do with that. She thought they were being bombed. So the first thing she did was to gather up as many children as she could and take them down to the basement. And unfortunately, that's where herself and most of the children had been killed. One day, I was visiting one of the staff members, who's also a friend of mine, in the main basement of Veith House. And we were in her office, which was at the end of a hallway facing the harbor. And we had to go upstairs for some reason or another. So on our way down the hall, there's a small little children's bathroom on our right-hand side. And she was ahead of me, so she walked past the bathroom, and I was in line with it, and I thought, uh-oh, I could feel a chill coming off the bathroom. I stepped back, and there was the matron, and she's following my friend. She turned around, and she saw me standing there like this, and she said, "What?" And my friend can't see her. I told her the matron is here. She's almost breathing down your neck. Kind of creeped her out a little bit. I don't blame her. For some reason, her home base seems to be the children's bathroom in the basement area. Perhaps that's where the adults don't interfere, or I don't know why it's that one in particular, but maybe that is where she actually passed away. I was up again at the gallery in the office area, and I was talking with Diana, and we were talking numbers or something to do with the business, and all of a sudden I felt that the air had changed. And then I saw movement in front of her face. I had to sort of stand back for a second because I couldn't understand what was happening, because it was just like a heat wave that you see come off the pavement. It was like that in the beginning. And then very quickly, I could see exactly what was going on. And I thought, oh my God. It was there maybe 30 seconds. That's long enough for you to be able to tell what you see and what's going on. She asked me what was wrong, and I said, whatever do you mean? She went awfully pale, and so I said, do you want to know? And she got really upset. when I told her I had seen another face overlay on top of hers. Which was fine. I mean, I understand that. If someone I couldn't see, if I knew they were doing that, I wouldn't be very impressed either. Probably a little creeped out.
I want to stop this real quick because it's such a good question here. Let me go back. Not that they all aren't good questions and comments, but hang on one second. I will find it. There we go. That's a great question. How many times have you asked yourself that? Why a priest would stay back? Why a nun? Why a monk? Insert your religious or spiritual icon here. Why, if they have a faith and they have path, say, of their choosing and their belief, right? I don't know, but it's such a good question because I've asked myself that before. But after so much input and data collected over time through many people and ghosts they bumped into and monks and priests and of the like, it seems that even though they can be held back by fear or regret or self-punishment, trying to pay for their sins in their mind, whatever it may be, wrongdoing, betrayals, seems to be a big one. They betrayed somebody and maybe it's they don't want to go face that person, let somebody down, mainly themselves. They can't forgive themselves for something. Think about that. Even though they have faith and they believe and their faith is strong, sometimes it's strong faith in whatever, right, can make you, because I see this a lot on the battlefields, the times I've been there, same thing. A lot of these soldiers it's not that they're afraid to cross or they're angry or some of them just can't forgive themselves. Self-punishment, even if they're not aware. It's complicated, but kind of simple.
I was home one evening and I find myself putting on my coat and I know exactly what I'm supposed to do. I had a compulsion to go to V's house and do a clearing. I was home one evening and it was springtime and I was in my apartment looking at the bus stop and I find myself putting on my coat and putting my pass in my pocket. And then before I know it, I'm sitting at the bus stop and I know exactly what I'm supposed to do. I had a compulsion to go to V's house and do a clearing. I went to V's house, and the maintenance fellow opens the door after I knock on the front door. And I said, "Hi, Robert." I said, "I have to do something downstairs in the basement. Is that okay?" He said, "Well, what are you going to do?" I said, "Well, to tell you the truth, I'm going to do a spiritual clearing."
This, my friends, is how it's done. No fireworks. No band playing. You don't have to rent a hall. You see? She's not strapped down with 50 pounds of gear. Not saying that's wrong. I'm just pointing out how I feel, how I've seen, Think about it. This just makes my heart feel so happy. Intent. Light. She's an artist. Her light shines, even if she doesn't know it. She seems centered, cool. She's chill. She's thinking. She's looking. She's investigating a little bit. Little facts here, little facts there. And she's walking in there with intent. Simple as all get out.
I said, there's some souls in this place that just shouldn't be here. I just thought I'd like to try to send them on their way. We proceeded to what they call the sub-basement. And all I had was, well, my lighter and a piece of sweetgrass. And I just lit the end of the sweetgrass, blew out the flame so it was just the sparks. I just kind of went from room to room and asked the spirits if they could lend me their attention. And then all of a sudden, it felt like feathers or fingertips very, very lightly, very softly, all over my skin at the same time. And it was moving, undulating and moving. It felt like it must have been many, because I just got the sense of more than one. I could feel them all around me. I've never felt anything like that before. And it was very strong, but it was very gentle. And I could hear, like, not whispers, but voices far off, but speaking softly. And many, and they grew louder, and I could tell there was more of them. And then I could hear the younger ones, but they were more like murmurs from the children. The little boy was distracted by something that he was looking at, which I assume was the doorway, if you will, to heaven.
Aww.
And then out of the shadows, that's where the stevedore had come. I should be scared, but for some reason I wasn't. I don't know why. And he was a big man, and he reeked of blood. He died there, but he was stevedore further down the harbor. And he was blown that far to the rubble of where the original orphanage was. And he was just very confused, very angry. But he began to settle down, and they all did. You could hear it, you could feel it. It was almost like a buzz in the air. Once I got them all in the same area, and I put it forth to them simply that if you wish to get out of here, there is a way that you can go home.
Soul to soul. You know what I mean? Like, look, let's do this. How it's done.
Once I got them all in the same area, I put it forth to them simply that if you wish to get out of here, there is a way that you can go home to the light, to your family and your friends, and many more good things. My final words had to do with, you are now free to go. The door is open. There is the light. And it was dead silence, pardon the expression, but absolute quiet, which was unnatural. In a house like that, especially in a basement, there should be noises. And then all of a sudden, a huge gust of wind.
Sorry.
All these people were finally going home to where they belong. They don't feel lost and scared and in pain anymore. They don't have to live in that awful, awful moment of the Halifax explosion. And then I felt so good. Like, yes, we did it.
Go,
I knew
girl.
they were home. They were okay. And then I saw the matron. She wants to stay. She wants to stay. from some of the staff who hadn't even known about the clearing that I had done. And even myself, I noticed that it just feels lighter throughout the entire building. I'd like to think that when I pass, that if I cannot find my way, that there is going to be someone to help me.
If I cannot find my way, I hope there is someone there to help me. Is she not fabulous? Absolutely fabulous. That's what it's all about.
Our experts tell us there are two kinds of ghosts: those with unfinished business and those who can't find their way. Death can be confusing, especially sudden and chaotic deaths like those in the Halifax explosion. A spirit might not know where they are, or even that they're dead. Sheila's clearing ceremony was simple, but our experts say it worked because it had the two essential elements: sweet grass to attract the spirits, and pure and honest intent to guide them on their spiritual path. In return, Sheila believes the ghost helped her, giving her a new outlook on both life and death.
Well, I lost my parents when I was very young, and life is, pretty much hard enough as it is. And I think that if I'm a guide, I also have guides. And I think if you're without, physical guides like your parents, you're going to need a lot of help. So I think that this has definitely given me the courage to go through life and look forward to life and not be afraid of death.
Absolutely fabulous in every way. Was that not great? Preach, right, Jack? No kidding. Yep. Peace and grace about it. Beautifully said, Anna. Very much so. Yep. Center of light. And see, intent. And that's how simple it is. And you see, when people give of their light and use that energy, right? It's so strong and it's so natural and it's so adamant. It's just like, look, it's what attracted me to Hans Hosler when he was ghost hunting. He would be that way. He would be stern, he would be there, he had a scientific layer to him for sure. But still within him was this type of, look, you don't have to stay here. The nun, she decided to stay. Why? Was there still kids there left that she knew were there and she wasn't going to leave until they were done? Did she feel she had to pay more penance because she had made the wrong decision? Did she? Did she think so? We will never know. But these are all strong emotions. Most important thing to take away from this is that light is stronger than darkness. We all see it. We all go in and out it all day long. Right? We all get scared and have to pull ourselves back out of that. We do it with laughter. We do it by getting together here Sunday nights, Monday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern. And we say the things that need to be said, even if we got to walk around them. We give each other strength and help recharge. And sit in the living room in our comfy chairs with our choice of snacks and our choice of adult beverage or, water or whatever, whatever your business, it's your business, whatever you choose. Put bacon on everything. But we get together and we try to sort it. Not only in this subject, but for each other. Say, hang in there to that job. Excellent job, Susan Woodcarver. Keep doing your art. Everybody. Keep making yourself smile too. Random acts of kindness, because what goes around comes around. Send it out there to come back. It's so powerful. And we need every candle burning out there. We need every ray of hope at its strongest right now. And if you're praying people, do so. This would be a good time because we need it all, and it's been proven to work. And it's going to be good. We're going to come out on the other side of this. We're going to make sure we all get through together. But we all feel it. What a time to be alive. We picked this. It's all connected. D-Rock. Oh, sweetheart. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting this show. Love you. Love you. If you guys want to hit the like button, that helps. If you want to share it, go ahead and do it. Thank you, sweetheart. I mean, this is for you guys. I look forward to this. Sometimes I don't even know what we're going to put on until like the day of. But it's usually what needs to be said. We always have fun, but we learn something too. We learn from each other. So the best thing to do is just keep laughing. So let me find something to get us out of here that's going to make us laugh. I think I know what you guys want. Let me see if I can find it. First one I come across, that'll be it. And it's going to take us out here. But she is a lovely woman. I thought all the people tonight were. They all had something decent to say to kind of remind us. But before we go out, I want to ask you this question so you can think about it. Now, I don't think the nun just stayed because there was maybe children behind or whatever. But how do you know that that nun wasn't there for that woman that was helping her just as much, that it might help the nun ascend higher and maybe her too? It's multi-layered. We'll never know the answers. Let me see. Or maybe we will. You know what I mean? So I love y'all. Let me find something good for y'all. This has been great. And it was a heck of a show and great talk. And I love y'all. Good night, everybody. Thanks for being here, Bacon, to all of y'all. Okay? Thank you so much for sharing and for the thumbs up, for the new subs, and just being here. See you tomorrow night with Steve. Okay? Good night, everybody.
Ha 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 ha!